Have you ever stopped to think whether your kindness is genuine or just a mask you've learned to wear to survive in society? Carl Jung, the renowned Swiss psychiatrist and founder of analytical psychology, made a devastatingly honest distinction between being truly kind and being simply domesticated. And this difference might be sabotaging your authenticity in ways you never imagined. Imagine for a moment that you're in a situation where someone asks you for a favor you really don't want to do. Is your first reaction to automatically say yes with a forced smile, while inside you feel a mixture of resentment and frustration? Or can you gently but firmly set your boundaries without feeling guilty? The answer to this question reveals whether you're operating from true kindness or social domestication. Jung observed that most people confuse social conformity with moral virtue. He argued that our society has created a system where we're rewarded for being predictable, obedient, and agreeable, even when this goes against our essential nature. It's as if we were wild animals that were gradually trained to perform tricks in exchange for social approval, losing in the process our connection to our deepest instincts and innate wisdom. Domestication, from a Jungian perspective, is a process where we internalize external expectations to the point where they become our inner voice. We begin to believe we're kind, when in reality, we're just following a social script we learned in childhood. This pseudo-kindness is driven by fear of rejection, need for approval, and desperate desire to belong, not by genuine compassion or true love for others. Think about how many times you've said, "It's okay," when it really wasn't okay, or "Everything's fine" when nothing was fine. These small betrayals of yourself accumulate over time, creating a profound disconnection between who you really are and the persona you present to the world. Jung called this social mask the persona, a word derived from the Latin term for masks used by actors in ancient theatre. True kindness, on the other hand, emerges from a place of personal integrity and authenticity. It doesn't need external approval because it's rooted in a deep understanding of yourself and genuine connection with others. When you're truly kind, you can say no with love, disagree with respect, and set boundaries without feeling cruel or selfish. Your kindness becomes a conscious choice, not an automatic reaction based on fear. Jung believed that to access this authentic kindness, we must first recognize and integrate our shadow, all the aspects of ourselves that have been repressed or denied to fit social expectations. This includes our capacity for anger, our assertiveness, our selfish desires, and even our ability to be cruel when necessary. Paradoxically, it's only when we fully accept our capacity for evil that we can consciously choose kindness. Many people are shocked when they discover they have bad thoughts or selfish impulses. They try to suppress these parts of themselves, believing this makes them better people. But Jung argued that this repression only makes these aspects more powerful in the unconscious, causing them to be projected onto others or manifested in indirect and destructive ways. The domesticated individual often becomes passive-aggressive, develops chronic resentment, or experiences inexplicable emotional explosions. The truly kind person, in contrast, recognizes their shadow and consciously integrates it. They know they have the capacity to be cruel, selfish, or manipulative, but choose not to be. This conscious choice gives moral weight to their kindness. It's the difference between a saint who was never tempted and a saint who faced their temptations and chose the path of virtue. Which of the two do you find more impressive? Consider the example of a mother who always says yes to her children's requests because she wants to be seen as the cool mom. Superficially, this seems like kindness, but in reality it may be harming the children's development, as they need to learn limits and face disappointments. A truly kind mother would be able to say no when necessary, even knowing this would temporarily make her the villain of the story. Her kindness would be motivated by what's best for the child long-term, not by what would make her feel better about herself in the moment. This pattern repeats in all areas of life. The boss who avoids giving constructive feedback to avoid hurting feelings of employees may think they're being kind, but they're actually hampering their professional growth. The friend who always agrees with you, even when you're clearly wrong, may seem loyal, but isn't offering the gift of truth that real friendship requires. Jung also observed that domestication often leads to a life of quiet desperation, a phrase he used to describe people who follow all social rules, do everything right, but feel deeply empty and disconnected from themselves. They may have external success, stable relationships, and everyone's approval, but experience a persistent sense that something is missing, that they're living someone else's life. The process of differentiating between genuine kindness and domestication requires a courageous journey of self-knowledge. We start by questioning our motivations. Why did I really do that? Was it from genuine compassion or fear of how others would see me if I didn't? This honest investigation can be uncomfortable because we often discover that many of our kind acts were really acts of emotional self-preservation. The next step involves developing the courage to be authentic, even when it means disappointing or making others uncomfortable. This doesn't mean becoming cruel or insensitive, but rather learning to honor your inner truth while remaining compassionate toward others. It's a delicate balance that requires practice and patience with yourself. Jung emphasized that this process of individuation, becoming who you really are, is not a selfish act, but rather the greatest gift you can offer the world. When you stop trying to be who others want you to be and start being authentically yourself, you free others to do the same. Your authenticity gives others permission to be genuine too. Think about the most meaningful relationships in your life. Aren't they those where you can be completely honest with each other, where you can disagree without it threatening the bond? These relationships are precious precisely because they transcend the superficiality of social domestication and operate at the level of genuine human truth. The path back to authentic kindness isn't easy. It requires facing the possibility of rejection, tolerating the discomfort of not pleasing everyone, and developing an internal moral compass strong enough to guide us when external expectations pull us in different directions. But Jung would argue that this journey is essential not only for our own psychological health, but for the health of society as a whole. A society composed of domesticated individuals is a fragile society, dependent on forced conformity and external control. A society composed of genuinely kind individuals, people who consciously choose to be compassionate because they recognize our fundamental interconnectedness, is a resilient, creative, and truly free society. The choice between these two paths is not just personal, but collective. As you reflect on these ideas, ask yourself, in how many areas of your life are you operating from domestication instead of genuine kindness? Where are you betraying your inner truth in the name of keeping peace or avoiding conflict? And more importantly, are you ready to begin the journey back to your authentic nature, even if it means renegotiating some of your relationships and social expectations? The difference between being kind and being domesticated can determine whether you live a life of genuine meaning or remain trapped in unconscious patterns that keep you small and disconnected from your true potential. Jung reminds us that the choice is always ours, but first, we need the courage to recognize that there is a choice to be made.